Barnaby Jones, starring Buddy Ebsen. Also starring Lee Merriweather, with guest stars John Rubinstein, Hilly Hicks, Catherine Cannon, Joan Hotchkiss, Dennis Patrick. Tonight's episode, Dangerous Summer.
He's coming.
Okay. Whoever's in there, come out slow and easy.
No, Chris, what are you doing?
He shot Toby, didn't he?
He said nothing like this was gonna happen. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. Toby. Chris, he's still alive.
It burns like fire. You gotta get me to a hospital.
Look, he's really bleeding.
Chris, he's right.
Nah. Hospitals ask too many questions. You're gonna be all right, Toby. You're gonna be all right.
Chris, we can't take a chance with his life.
Take it easy. You know enough to take a little bullet out. Toby, trust you, don't you, Toby?
I am not a doctor.
You're studying to be.
That's right. And at the lab where you work, you have all the equipment you need.
Chris, I don't know.
You can do it. I would trust you to do it for me.
It's okay, Warren. Do like Chris said. I don't want to get you all in the soup.
Attaboy, Toby. We'll put you up at my old man's lodge. You can hold hands with Michelle until you're well enough to go home. Now clear up all this gear and get Toby into the car.
what time it is? Darling, I've been worried sick about you.
Well, that's why I called you, sweetheart, so you wouldn't have to worry. Listen, some of the gang and I have decided to run down to Tijuana for the weekend, for the bullfights. I'll be back Monday at the latest, okay?
All right, darling. Listen, do you have enough money? Your father told me he cut off your allowance.
Yeah, I have enough.
Well, you have a good time, darling. And listen, you be careful, you hear me?
I will, sweetheart. I love you.
Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Hey, Barnaby. I'm glad you could make it.
Well, Milt is a lot bigger than the ranch house you built for marrying me.
Believe me, Barnaby, that ranch house was just as big to me. My first real chance at something good. I appreciated it.
Mary did, too. We were very happy there. Betty said you sounded worried on the phone.
Truth is, Barnaby, you're scared to death. You know Toby, my son. He's been missing since Friday. I'd been on a wilderness survey up north over the weekend. When I got in, the housekeeper was beside herself. She hadn't heard from Toby since early Friday.
She called his friends?
All that she knew. Toby's girl told her that he hadn't shown up for their date on Saturday. As soon as I heard that, I called the police and the hospital.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. That's why I called Betty this morning, Barnaby. Look, Toby isn't the kind of a kid who'd go this long without getting in touch. That is, if he was able.
Well, Milt, maybe you're looking on the dark side of this thing.
Barnaby, since Toby's mother died, that boy and I have been close. I know he would have called.
Well, maybe you better give me the name of the young man's girlfriend.
Carol Delon. She's a good girl. She lives at the University Apartments. She's an engineering major, like Toby.
Would you happen to have a picture of Toby that I could borrow? Fine-looking young man. I'll call you when I get something.
Thanks, Barnaby.
You make sure he lies still.
Warren, this is Chris.
Oh, boy, am I glad you called.
Why, what's the matter?
Toby's worse. The bleeding started all over again.
Well, that's to be expected. The guy just had a bullet taken out of him. You did a good job. Don't worry.
Chris, it's been over 2 days and his fever's still very high. Now, it could be an infection, it could be tetanus, or 100 other things that I just cannot handle.
Warren, you're thinking small again.
Will you listen to me? We gotta get him to a hospital.
Okay. Hang tight till I get up there. If you still feel that way, I'll take Toby to the doctor myself. That way you and Michelle won't even have to be involved, all right?
Chris, do not put me on.
Warren, I got you into this. I'll get you out, old buddy. I'll see you in a little while.
You'll have to concentrate and straighten out your entry.
Carol. Is that Carol Delon?
Yeah. And you must be Mr. Jones. Toby's father told me you'd be coming by.
That was a real nice dive.
I'm afraid it won't rate more than a 6 from the coach.
Well, I've always felt that a girl should be rated on how she looks out of the water, not how she looks going into it. With that smile, you'd rate a 10 anywhere.
You sound just like Toby. He doesn't go in much for diving either. But he did promise he'd come watch me compete last Saturday.
Any idea where he spent Friday night?
Mr. Jones, Toby and I are close. Very close. But you might as well know right now that we do not share the same friends. I just do not fit into the same circle.
Maybe you don't want to.
Oh, no, it's not that. I tried, really. It's just that most of the time, Toby's so level-headed. But when he's around his friends, well, he's trying so hard to prove that he's in, that he is out as far as I'm concerned.
My wife always used to say that the sight of a man a woman falls in love with wouldn't be recognized in his own circle of friends.
I'll try to remember that.
You know, I could use a list of his friends. I'd have someplace to start.
Okay. Mr. Williams told me you need some names, so I made them up. Oh, Mr. Jones, when you locate Toby, tell him that I am upset and very angry. But make sure he calls me right away. Huh?
You bet I will.
You see, Chris? I told you. Toby's been like that ever since you called.
Warren, you gotta keep your head.
I told you I couldn't handle it. Now, what do you want me to do?
Well, first, I just want you to relax a little bit. Come on. Come over here. I'll make you a drink. Look at you. You're so serious. I can't wait till you hang your shingle out. Dr. Warren Claxton, specializing in catastrophic diseases only.
Hey, come on. I'm not that bad.
Well, isn't he? Tell him. You should have a long beard down to here.
Panic really doesn't suit you, Warren.
Now, listen. If we take Toby to the hospital, they're going to know he's been shot, right?
Probably.
All right. The moment that happens, they automatically call the police, and those guys are going to bear down on Toby very hard. Now, do you want to put him through that?
Put it like that, I don't know.
Now, I'm perfectly willing to take him down to the hospital, but they're going to know I didn't take that bullet out of him. And I just don't know how long Toby can keep from telling him who did.
You see, we could all wind up in jail.
It's Warren's decision, baby.
Hey, now, wait a minute. The only reason we picked your old man's place is because you said if we got caught, we could give the money back and he'd never press charges, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So why don't we give the money back?
Because Toby has been shot now. It's a whole new ball game. And the general being what he is, he could throw the book at us. Forget about jail. You could kiss off medical school, everything you've been working for.
I don't care. I still say we take him to a hospital, and I mean right now.
Warren!
Toby. Toby. Toby?
Forget it, Warren. He's dead.
Toby! 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 I warned you this could happen. What now, Chris? What do we do now?
Looks like Toby's just left us one thing to do. We gotta bury him.
You can't mean that.
Oh, now, look, I don't like the idea any more than you do, but when somebody's killed during the commission of a crime, the charge is first-degree murder, even if it's one of the criminals.
We could all be charged with murder.
That's the way it goes down in the eyes of the law. Let's see if we can find some shovels.
Chris? Darling, this
gentleman is a private detective, Barnaby Jones.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is Michelle Simons
How do you do?
Hello.
and Warren Claxton.
How do you do? Well, I'm in luck. You three are on my list.
On your list?
I'm looking for Toby Williams on behalf of his father. His girlfriend gave me a list of his friends, and you're all three on it.
Oh, that's terrific. Looks like your luck is really holding up, Mr. Jones. We just had dinner with Toby on Friday.
Oh. Your mother tells me you spent the weekend in Tijuana. Was Toby down there?
No, as a matter of fact, we split up right after we left Santello's.
The restaurant.
I don't suppose this is much of a secret, but I don't think Toby would want Carol to find out.
Oh, Chris, why don't you just tell him?
All right. When we came out of the restaurant, we saw these two girls in a van. Toby went over to talk to them, and before we knew it, he'd split with them.
What did they look like?
Nice. Very nice. I'd have gone with him myself, except I had to work.
Chris, they must have said something about where they were going.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of them mentioned Big Sir. I think we'd be pretty safe to say that he's in good hands. Can I fix you a drink, Mr. Jones?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on. My martinis are legend. If you have any doubts, ask the princess. Right, Mother?
Chris, I don't think Mr. Jones is interested in testimonials for your martinis.
Is there anyone else who might have seen her talk to these girls?
No, I don't. Oh, wait a minute. Jack was there. I've never known him to pass up a pair like those two in his life.
Jack who?
Jack Hansbury. He's the parking lot attendant down at Santello's. He might be able to help you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll check with him. If you think of anything else, your mother has my number. This way go off?
Yes, I'll show you.
Thank you. Bye.
Why did you do that?
Why did I do what? I thought we handled it pretty well. Baby, you were terrific.
Well, look who taught me.
Warren, you were pretty good too, but I gotta say, you looked nervous. You gotta cool it down a little bit.
Why did you have to give him Jack's name? You know as well as I do that there was no van and there weren't any girls.
Jack Hansbury, please. It's a small detail, just a detail. Hello, Jack. Hey, old buddy. I got a job for you.
Oh, yeah, sure. I remember those two chicks. One of them was a blonde and the other was a brunette. Out of sight.
Attractive, eh?
Attractive? Dad, they were prime. There was this one in a halter, the blonde. Absolutely took your breath away.
More I hear about them, the better looking they get.
Take it from me, Dad. They were choice.
I can't wait till I meet them. Did you notice what kind of a van they were driving?
No, sorry, I didn't get the make, but then I wasn't looking.
The color?
Gray, I think, but it was getting dark. Maybe you better check with Chris and the gang.
Jack, when Toby left with those two girls, did you hear anyone mention where they were going?
Big Sir. I'm sure of that because one of the girls asked me about the drive up the coast. Hey, Mr. Jones, I got a few things to do if you got no more questions.
Sure. My name is Barnaby Jones. Were you working here last Friday night with Jack?
I was, and I heard all the questions.
I take it you didn't like the answers?
Blue smoke.
What?
I don't know what the joke is, but Jack's giving you a real snow job.
Well, I like a joke as well as the next fella. If it's good, I'll even pay for it.
Oh, well. There was no van in here Friday night. Not with two chicks like Jack was talking about.
You sure?
I wouldn't have missed two numbers like that. You can bet on that.
I just might. Was Toby Williams in here Friday night?
Toby, sure. He came out with Chris Garrison's group. But he didn't take off in any van.
Who did he leave with?
Couldn't say for sure. I didn't run Chris's car. But you can take it from me, it wasn't like Jack said it was.
Mr. Clarkson? Oh, Mr. Jones. What can I do for you?
Just a couple of questions. Go right on with your work. I like to see a man at his work. My uncle used to say that there's only one thing lazier than a man who wouldn't work, and that's a man who couldn't stand the sight of it.
Well, you got the wrong office, Mr. Jones. This is physiology, not philosophy.
Well, I never was good at spelling. I really came just to check my hearing. I did hear you say earlier that if it hadn't been for this job, you would have gotten into the van with Toby and the two young ladies and taken off?
Yes, sir. You can ask Jack. I'm sure he'd tell you the same thing.
Oh, he heard and saw everything, including the dots over the eyes.
Well, then I don't understand what the problem is.
Well, there's someone else who said it was a lie.
Well, maybe there's someone else just didn't see.
He didn't see the van, he didn't see the girls, and he's certain about it.
Well, then he's mistaken.
Maybe. And maybe you're the one who was making the mistake, son. It's a tough road to hoe to become a doctor these days, especially if you're working your way through school. I admire any young man with the courage to do it.
Mr. Jones.
Seems to me that you are risking an awful lot for one small lie.
I've told you everything I know. I have witnesses.
Witnesses can make a small lie into a large lie in a very short time. Now, where did Toby go Friday?
Are you finished, Mr. Jones?
Only if you are, son. If you change your mind, give me a call.
Hey, Warren. What are you doing here?
Patio door was open.
Well, why aren't you at work?
Barnaby Jones came to see me this afternoon.
So, you stuck to your story, right?
Yeah. But he knows it's a lie. Somebody at Santello's told him that there was no van.
Well, that's all right. With Jack, that's still 4 against 1. Relax, sit down.
I don't know about you, Chris. I let you talk me into the robbery because I needed the money. But ever since Toby died...
Now, wait a minute. Come on, buddy. Have a little style. Have a little imagination. Now, that detective can't do anything to us that we don't do to ourselves.
That's exactly it, Chris. I haven't been able to sleep since it happened. Look, maybe we ought to go to the police.
Hey, wait a minute. Have you forgotten all about medical school already? You have money now. Come on.
That doesn't matter.
Michelle, will you tell the man what matters, please?
Oh, Warren,
I'm only thinking about you. You deserve something for all of the work that you put in. Look, if it's Jones that's bothering you, that's fine. Michelle and I will check him out. His family, his friends. There's got to be a way to pressure him out.
No, Chris. I just can't carry it around with me anymore. Look, if we go in ourselves, maybe the court will go easier with us. I came here to give you and Michelle a chance to go in with me.
Go in with you? Warren, you are the most gutless, the most stupid...
Okay, Chris. That's the way you want it. That's the way you got it. But you can't say that I didn't give you a chance.
Warren? Warren! Warren? Warren? Hold up. Warren,
Hey,
stop it.
Never. I made up my mind. Now leave me alone,
Come
will
on,
you?
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said in there. I take it back, okay? Listen, I'm going to ask Michelle to fix us some drinks and maybe some dinner, and we'll just sit around and we'll talk over
No more talk, Chris. Look, I've made up my mind. I'm going to the police right now.
All right. Maybe that's the only way. I hope we can still be friends, though, huh? Gee, I'm just sorry it had to work this way.
I'm sorry too, Chris, but it's just the way it is.
get some trunks from the house.
Is he?
Yeah, he's dead. Hey, you still with me?
Just tell me what to do.
All right. First, we dry his things in the dryer. Don't worry, by the time I'm through with him, there won't be any more questions about poor Warren.
I'm not worried. I was scared, but I'm not worried.
I always knew you were the best of them, baby. From now on, it's just you and me together. All the way.
I don't know what. Let's see how much further we're gonna.
Lieutenant Taylor?
Oh, finish that off for me, will you? Hello, Barnaby. What brings you down here?
I was on my way down here to talk to Warren Claxton's lab supervisor. I saw the car. What happened?
Pool lieutenant found Claxton's body this morning. Looks like he decided to go for a swim last night after getting off from work. Preliminary report makes it accidental drowning.
Anybody see him?
No, not till this morning.
You mind if I have a look at his things?
Everything's here. Billfold, change, everything. And it is Claxton's locker.
You satisfied?
Well, I would be if you didn't look so grim. Hey, Sam, give me one of those sacks, will you? I want to take this stuff down to the lab. That is what you wanted, isn't it?
That and the answer to a couple of big questions.
Well, when you find them, you'll be sure to let me in on them, won't you? Barnaby, what are you doing?
I didn't think you'd mind my having this little piece.
Barnaby, that's evidence.
Why don't you just call it a souvenir and stop worrying?
Barnaby!
A real tragedy, Mr. Jones.
Yes, I can understand that.
Warren had a fine mind. Would have made an excellent physician. It's all he dreamed about, you know.
You know, that's funny, because yesterday his mind seemed to be on something else. Tell me, Dr. Ronson, was there any surgical procedure performed in the lab yesterday?
Monday? No. We were doing an inventory on a new shipment of animals. Why?
Well, when I interrupted Warren, he was autoclaving a tray of surgical instruments. Could they have been left over from Friday?
Our procedure is to sterilize everything before we button up the lab for the weekend.
Yeah, that's what I figured. He was working with a black bag. You think I could have a look at that?
Of course, it could be Warren was working on a project on his own time.
Precisely what I had in mind.
What is it?
Appears to be a pine needle. But from where I'm standing, Doctor, it looks taller than the whole tree.
How are you doing with Luther Burbank?
Very well. Species Abies concolor, white fur. Usually found in good winter forests at 6,000 to 9,000 feet.
And that tells us?
Well, it's fresh. It tells us that Claxton must have spent the weekend somewhere in these altitudes.
Well, one thing for sure, he didn't pick up that pine needle in Tijuana.
Betty, you got any dope on this?
The university says the pool is automatically kept at a constant pH of 7.4.
The moisture I extracted from the heel pad from Claxton's shoe had a pH of 7.8, not 7.4.
But he wasn't wearing his shoes when they found his body.
But he could have been wearing them when he was drowned. What conditioner did he use in the university pool?
Sulfanic acid.
Not in here. Cyanuric acid. Same conditioner you find in the tablets used in private pools.
Do you think Warren Claxton was drowned somewhere else and then taken to the university pool?
As sure as a scratching dog thinks he has fleas. Betty, call Lieutenant Taylor. Get the pH of the water found in Claxton's lungs. Oh, and check and see if you can find out what label was in those swim trunks he was wearing?
We buy a lot of things at Peroni's. My wife has a charge account there. I can't see how this can possibly concern Warren Claxton's death.
Mr. Thurston, Warren was wearing a pair of Peroni swimming trunks when they found his body. Now, that's pretty expensive for a young man who's working his way through school.
Well, we always keep several pair on hand for guests. Maybe Christopher gave him one. Why don't you ask him?
Well, I haven't been able to locate Chris. I was hoping to find him up here. Mr. Thurston, you recall having overheard Chris or any of his friends mention Toby Williams' name the last week?
You're talking to the wrong person, I'm afraid. I'm not privy to my stepson's personal involvements.
Well, like the spinster on her wedding night, sometimes we know more than we think we do.
Yes. I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, if I seem distracted. It's not for any lack of concern over that young man you're searching for, but we had a robbery here last Friday night, and our own investigation is taking most of my time.
Friday night? How much did you lose?
Something over $200,000.
The touch of an older woman drives me crazy. How about you and me for a long weekend in Palm Springs?
I warn you, Chris Garrison, one of these days I'm going to take you up on it. And then what are you going to do?
My plans don't go that far. Is the general tied up?
Yeah. He's with a Mr. Jones. They're talking about you. Tell Mr. Thurston I'll be back in a minute.
Before he was knocked unconscious, our watchman wounded one of the thieves.
Badly?
Well, he seemed to think so. There was an awful lot of blood.
Does he happen to recall how many there were?
No. Police seem to think there were 4. Very professional. They handled our security quite easily.
It's very interesting. Oh, if you hear from Chris, would you ask him to call me, please?
You can depend on it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thurston. I appreciate your time. I'll be hearing from you then. Yeah, that's very lovely. Mountain forest. You can almost hear the wind whispering through the trees. This your place?
Yes. Fine mountain. Tragedy is, with all the work, it hasn't been used in nearly a year.
It's too bad. You know, I think 2 of the saddest things in the world are an empty house and a bobtailed dog. Neither one can let you know how happy they are. Thank you again, Mr. Thurston.
Hello?
Michelle, we've got to do something about Barnaby Jones. Now.
Betty? Barnaby Jones?
Mr. Jones, this is Officer Franco from the California Highway Patrol.
Yeah?
Sir, we have an automobile accident here involving a Mrs. Betty Jones. Now, is that your wife, sir?
Oh, it's my daughter-in-law. How is she?
I'm afraid it's a little bit hard to tell right now, sir. She's still pinned under the wreckage.
Where is she?
Well, we're up here on Lipton Canyon Road, about a mile north of Wayland.
I'm on my way.
What if he doesn't come?
Don't worry, he'll be here. I told you he'd be here. At this speed, it's gonna be easy.
You sure you feel up to this?
I'd feel a lot better if I didn't know somebody was trying to kill me.
I feel so responsible. I mean, if I hadn't fallen for that wild goose chase they sent me on.
You had no way of doing it. Like fur.
That's the same kind of fine needle that you found in Warren Claxton's medical bag, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
I kind of have a feeling that you knew you were going to find that kind of tree up here.
Well, there were a lot of them in that picture in Thurston's office.
Oh, it doesn't look as though anyone's been here for some time.
Take a deep breath. Doesn't smell musty. Take a look in the bedroom.
Well, I see it didn't take you too long.
It's still fresh. You want to try it?
No, no, thanks. I'll take your word for it.
Well, you know, one thing for certain. There's been somebody up here within the last 3 days. Thurston said that nobody used this place for months. You find anything?
No, bedroom looks fine. Funny, though, the bed in there isn't stripped like this one.
Now, why would anyone want to strip this bed?
What is that?
Bloodstains? I will lay odds. Could explain why somebody wanted to strip this bed.
Bloodstains. Barnaby, does this make any kind of sense to you at all?
Well, could explain why Claxton was carrying the equipment that he was. He may have been treating someone up here.
Do you think it was Toby Williams?
I wish I knew it wasn't. But somebody went to an awful lot of trouble to stop my search for Toby.
Why here? I mean, if he was injured, why not take him to a hospital?
That's what worried me. The Thurston Company was held up on Friday night.
Wait a minute, you're way ahead of me.
One of the thieves was wounded. If this blood matches the blood from the scene of the crime, that may give us an answer.
And if it matches Toby's blood type?
I don't want to contemplate that yet. Eddie, you still have that first aid kit in your car?
Yes, why?
We're going to repay a favor.
Hello?
Yes, this is Miss Fallender from Fallender Real Estate. May I speak with Mr. John Thurston, please?
I'm sorry he's not here.
Oh, I say, that's too bad. It's rather urgent that I talk to him about the lodge.
What about the lodge? This is Mr. Thurston's son. Maybe I could help you.
Yes, Mr. Thurston has me keep a periodic check on the lodge. And, well, when I came up here this morning, I found some rather disturbing things.
What kind of things?
Well, there are signs of someone using the lodge without first obtaining a key from me. But really, what prompted me to call was these bandages I found. They're soaked with blood. I was going to call the sheriff's station and let them handle it, but I...
No, don't do that. My father would never forgive me if I allowed a lot of people to go tramping around through the house, upsetting everything.
Well, someone should look into it.
Listen, you stay there. I'll be right up.
Is he coming?
For a moment there, I was afraid he wasn't going to take the bait.
Bait's easy. Problem is to get him to swallow the hook.
Oh, I say you made good time. I'm Joan Fallender.
We don't have very much time, Mrs. Founder. You said you found some bandages.
Oh, yes. Well, I left them right where I found them. I thought the sheriff wouldn't want anything disturbed. I'll show you.
No. That won't be necessary. We'll check the place over ourselves. We'll make sure to call you, though, if we need any assistance.
Well, don't hesitate. We are always at your service.
Well, thank you. It was very kind of you to drive up.
My pleasure.
You said you cleaned everything up.
I did. Oh, Chris, honey, I swear. While you and Warren were out burying Toby, I stripped that bed and I burned everything in the fireplace.
Well, burn me easy. Do you realize what this could have cost us?
Chris, I swear!
Just do it now! I'm gonna get the money. We're on our way. Guess we were lucky. Looks like it's all here.
Enough to pay for the lives of 2 people.
Well, actually, there's enough to pay for 3. I gotta hand it to you, Jones, getting us up here. Very clever.
My mistake. I really didn't figure guns were your style. I thought your line was more swimming pools and trucks. Never mind the bandages, Michelle. Those stains are just mercurochrome and iodine.
Get his gun, Michelle. And then we're gonna help him find Toby. That is what you wanted, isn't it, Jones?
I figured he was the one that caught the bullet from the watchman. What'd you do, let him die instead of taking him to a hospital?
No, we did everything.
Shut up! Outside, Jones. Come on. Hold it right there, Jones. Pick up a shovel.
Now, wait a minute. Man who's about to dig his own grave is entitled to know the whole story. I understand about the robbery. I even understand about Toby Williams, but why did you have to kill Warren Claxton?
Because Warren was small. He panicked. I mean, he was going to the police.
That's where he made his mistake. He should have had the police come to him like I did. Sheriff should be here in a moment.
Ah, quit bluffing, Jones. Move!
Give it up, Chris. It's over. You're trapped, Chris. You don't have to play it all the way out.
Barnaby Jones. Starring Buddy Ebsen. Also starring Lee Merriweather. With guest stars Bradford Dillman, Marge Doucet, Patricia Smith, Mara Claire Costello. Tonight's episode, The Deadlier Species.
But I felt like a teenager. I kept trying to talk, and he kept trying to make out. I should have her problems. Was he good looking?
Well, I think Nicky makes a very good point, Helen. You were worried about your image and how you were supposed to feel, instead of how you really felt about him and what you wanted to do.
Tell me, Robert, what is it? Have I done something wrong?
Ruth, nothing is wrong.
Then why are you avoiding me?
I've been very busy, as I am right now, so we'll discuss it later. Okay?
Aren't you a little early for your appointment, Mr. Lockman?
Just chalk it up to the impatience of impending retirement. Tomorrow, after 30 years of practice, I'm closing my law office. Well, is Miss Blake available?
No, but she asked that I speak with you.
Ah, fine. Well, in phasing out two of my clients, I came across some discrepancies that I thought you could help clear up for me.
Discrepancies? I don't
Yes.
Understand.
Madeline Howard and Helen Wrightson. I believe you handle their financial investments.
Well, I give them advice, but Sylvia Blake, our director, is adamant that the women here at the center be captains of their own ships.
Admirable woman, Miss Blake. But the financial statements that my clients receive from me will leave something to be desired.
Oh? Well, I think you'll find that your clients are doing very well.
Yes, until you look into their holdings. Now, in 4 separate stocks, both clients are listed as owners of duplicate numbered shares.
Well, I'm sure you'll find that's nothing more than a clerical error.
Well, I can understand duplication in 1 entry, but not 4. Now, you'll save me a lot of trouble if you just let me see the actual certificates so that I can confirm that my clients do own the shares that they paid for.
Well, it's going to take me a little time to dig those up because the stock certificates are in a safety deposit box.
All right, just have them by my office later today, yeah? It's important that I have everything wrapped up by tomorrow.
Very well.
Thank you. There's nobody here to let you in at this hour.
I'm Sylvia Blake, Mr. Lockman. Apologize for not being able to come down to your office this afternoon.
Nice to meet you. Well, did you bring the securities?
Oh, yes, right here. Okay. This should clear everything up.
Let me have a look. This is just a list. I mean, this is no better than the one I have in my den. I need proof, Mr. Travis. Don't you understand that I have to see the actual securities?
But Robert assured me that with a short
I'm
amount
sure
of time...
that it's just going to take me a few days to get my hands on the certificates themselves.
I don't know about Miss Blake. But there's no point in continuing the charade for me, Mr. Travis.
Charade?
Well, when you didn't show this afternoon, I tried to clear the situation up alone. I called the various companies, and there's no sales record of anything to either of my clients. The only record is to a house account registered in your name and Miss Blake.
Well, of course, but we only act as their nominees. It's a perfectly normal business procedure.
Well, you better explain it to the district attorney, because I'm turning everything over to him in the morning. Now, I believe we've said everything.
Mr. Lockman, as sophisticated men, we should be able to find a way that will avoid unnecessary unpleasantness. I mean, oversights happen, but we'd be willing to share the benefits that came with this particular mistake.
Are you trying to bribe me?
Just trying to find a mutually beneficial solution.
I think you better leave. Both of you. Out.
No!
Robert, he's dead.
I didn't mean to kill him. There was nothing else I could do. I mean, he would have ruined everything we worked for.
What do we do now?
Yeah, you get us financial statements out of the den. I'll take care of everything here. We'll move! Did you find him?
Yes. What are you doing?
Making it look like an accident. He was caulking the underside of the boat. One of the braces gave way, and it fell on him. Stand back.
Your father must have loved boats.
We used to sail every chance we could. Please, Mr. Jones, will you help me?
Rita, I don't know if I can. From the look of things, I'm inclined to go along with the police report. It was an accident. Your father was under the boat working. He tried to move some of the shoring, and the boat fell on him.
But it didn't happen that way. There wasn't any reason for Daddy to be under the boat. He'd already finished the rough sanding, and I was going to do the caulking. Daddy couldn't.
He couldn't? Why not?
He was allergic to the caulking material. He broke out in hives bigger than tomatoes every time he tried to caulk the boat.
Well, now, you know, there's nothing that upsets my stomach more than dill pickles. Yet put me down next to a hot pastrami sandwich, and I still reach for the pickle.
Daddy was hospitalized last year. They warned him another allergic attack could be fatal.
From what you told me about your father, he didn't sound like the kind of a man who would ignore that kind of medical advice.
Then will you investigate his murder, Mr. Jones?
not ready to call it a murder. But there is a question here that ought to be looked into.
What's troubling you?
Well, you know what's troubling me.
But I told you not to worry. The police have listed Lockman's death as an accident.
It's not just his death. It's what you and I've become. In the beginning, I had such big dreams for the center, and now...
But you can still have them. It's just that you have to pay a big price for big dreams.
Well, I'm not sure I want them if I have to steal them.
It's not stealing when you take what's rightfully yours. You work miracles with these women. They could never pay what your service is truly worth.
But if I could just believe that I really...
You've got to. Come on. Look how far you've come. Remember when I found you, you were counseling housewives in that Valley Center for $100 a week?
Yes, and I was doing what I wanted to do.
With no life, no future. Let's face it, you needed management. Because fads come and go.
I'm not a fad.
Well, then ideas, huh? Ideas change. And what's in 1 minute's out the next. Now, when that time comes, you're going to want to be financially independent if you're going to continue your work.
Is that all you're really interested in, my work?
No. No, it's you and you know it. I love you, Sylvia.
And I love you. I need you so much.
It's what you've always said. An emancipated woman is one who recognizes her needs and fulfills them. Same advice holds true for a man.
Thank you.
Who's that?
I sent for the autopsy report on George Lockman. Did you find out anything at his office?
Nothing of any help.
No evidence of swelling in the upper respiratory tract. No edema. Normal level of histamines.
Could you explain that?
Yeah, that means that young Rita Lockman may be right. No elevation of the histamine level means there was no allergic reaction before he died.
Well, then he couldn't have been caulking the boat.
Not with oakum, he couldn't. I'll bet you 10 bushels to a peck that somebody put his body under that boat and tried to make it look like an accident.
But Mr. Lockman had no enemies. He was well-liked, unquestionable integrity, dedicated. Who would want to see him dead?
That's the question, all right. Did his secretary notice anything out of the ordinary the past week or two?
No, but she let me borrow his appointment book, but everything looks all right.
These names in here, are they his clients?
Yes, all but one. Sylvia Blake.
Sylvia Blake, she's the girl from the feminist movement?
She's the woman from the Female Consciousness Center, Barnaby.
What business did Lockman have with her?
Well, the secretary didn't know, but she thought possibly one of his other clients, Madeline Howard, might know. After her divorce, she attended Sylvia Blake's center. Listen, if you're headed out to the center, be careful. Sylvia Blake may just brainwash you.
It's too late. Mrs. Jones beat her to it 30 years ago. I'm investigating the death of an attorney, Mr. George Lockman. He had an appointment with you the afternoon before he died.
An appointment? I'm afraid I've never met him, Mr. Lockman.
Funny. Wonder why he'd have your name in his appointment book.
Sylvia, these need signing right away.
Okay. Robert, this is Mr. Jones. He's a private investigator.
How do you do?
Mr. Travis is our controller here. Do you remember George Lockman having an appointment to see me?
Lockman.
Friday.
Right. Yes, he called, but he never showed up.
Did he say why he wanted to see Miss Blake?
No, he didn't. Why don't you ask him?
I'm afraid that's going to be impossible. Mr. Lockman is dead. I was hired to look into that.
Some mystery?
No, but police had it listed as an accident, and sometimes it pays to check into those things. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Ms. Blake. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your time.
Robert, I waited for you until midnight last night.
Yes, well, I didn't say definitely that I'd come by. I've been very busy.
I understand. I know what a strain you must be under. Else, why would you have told that detective you hadn't seen Mr. Lockman when you know he was here just last Friday? Oh, Robert, we do need each other, don't we?
Yes. I suppose I have been neglecting you.
But no more, Robert. Hmm?
Everyone predicted an out-and-out disaster when I opened this restaurant. Thank you. I'll serve it. I don't know what I'd have done without Sylvia and Mr. Travis.
Mr. Travis, he is the controller at the center,
Financial wizard, that's what he is.
and he helped you with your finances.
Help. I turned my entire divorce settlement over to him, and since then I've seen a 23% leap. You like it? Oh, good.
23%. Maybe I ought to consult with him myself.
Well, you'd be smart if you did. I told my friend Helen about it, and her results are as good as mine.
Helen, she go to the center?
Yeah? Yeah, she still does. Helen Wrightwood.
Did she also use the same attorney, Mr. Lockman?
That's how I met him.
On the day before he died, Mr. Lockman's appointment book had you down for lunch. Did he make it over here?
Oh, we had a wonderful talk. He was so pleased about the way things were working out for me.
Did he ask any questions about your investments, your relationship with Mr. Travis, Ms. Blake?
Well, we talked about him, but, well, only in a general way. I'm sorry. I really wish I could have helped you more.
Well, maybe you helped more than you think.
Oh?
I never met your husband, but if he walked away from food like this, he's a very foolish man.
You know, the truth is that he didn't. He still comes by here for dinner at least 3 times a week.
I believe it.
Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ruth heard me lie to Jones. She saw Lockman the day he was here. I don't like it.
I don't like this either. I checked Mr. Jones out in town. He's good. Has a reputation of being a bulldog. Never lets up.
Madeline's quite a cook, isn't she?
I haven't tasted stew like that since my grandmother used to let the pot simmer all day over a hardwood fire.
We both owe Sylvia a lot. You should have seen the shape we were in when we got here.
You planning to stay here much longer?
Oh, I'm coming down the stretch. Have to get a little more nerve to face the outside world again. But Sylvia's taking care of that.
What I understand, Mr. Travis is taking care of your finances.
You should see my last statement.
I'd like to. That is, if it isn't too personal.
Why not? I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
What for? Not that I mind, of course.
Well, Ms. Wrightwood said she didn't mind.
I'm just wondering why you wanted to see her financial statement, that's all.
Well, I think I may have found the reason why Mr. Lockman intended to see you that day. Thank you. He had a talk with both his clients, Ms. Wrightwood and Ms. Howard, about their investments.
Well, they could have shown him their own copies.
Perhaps that's what happened. He saw their copies and decided not to come all the way out here.
It's very impressive. You're quite a money manager, Mr. Travis.
Well, we're all very grateful to Robert. Financial success helps a woman have much more confidence.
It doesn't hurt a man's confidence either. Well, you know this area. Is any place out here Mr. Lockman may have decided to visit on the day he intended to see you?
I don't know. Why do you ask?
Well, there's a filling station down the way here that has a credit card receipt for some gas that he bought on that day, and I was just wondering where he went.
It depends upon what he liked. There's hiking, boating, lots of scenery to look at.
Well, I had the impression that Mr. Lockman intended to view the scenery from the deck of his boat. Now, you'd think he'd hurry and finish his business so he could get to it, wouldn't you?
He knows.
He knows nothing. And he won't. As long as we can keep him away from Ruth.
And just how long do you think you can handle her?
I don't know. She said it nicely, but it still comes out blackmail. And there's only one way to handle that.
No.
Shh. Trust me. Trust me. Ruth's made it easy for us. It's all set up. Where? And how?
Oh, Robert, Robert. We'll have such a wonderful life together. As soon as we leave this place, just the two of us. I have plenty of money. We can travel. We can do the things we want to do. It'll be great. You'll see.
Reality looks a lot different in daylight than it does by candlelight, my darling.
Mine doesn't. Not as far as you're concerned. Do you know that's the only reason I stayed here so long? To be near you.
You mean that?
I never meant anything so much in my life.
Well, I might believe you if you got me another drink.
I'll get more ice. Who's out there? Sylvia, what are you doing here?
Well, I just thought I'd stop by.
Sylvia, you
Get our things together. There's still a lot we have to do. Come on, move! What's the matter?
The killing. It's getting easier, isn't it?
We did what we had to do, no more, no less. It's over now, so forget it. You bring the car around, then you help me finish up here. Come on!
weren't at the office.
Are you sure?
His secretary distinctly remembers putting both of the women's financial statements into his briefcase before he left.
Well, they're not here.
Then there's only one answer. Someone stole them.
I'd like to keep a few more options open for a moment.
You remind me so much of Daddy. Everything by the numbers.
Things add up better that way.
And what does this add up to?
I don't have a total yet. But I figured that whoever it was that was with your father when he died didn't subtract enough evidence to keep us from finding him.
Barnaby, you sound as though you're convinced that Lockman was murdered.
Well, I can't be positive, but I got a feeling there was something in those statements that sent Lockman out to Sylvia Blake's center.
I still can't believe that Sylvia Blake is involved.
Well, I could probably prove it to you if I knew what they were up to. But without those original statements, I'm in the dark, and there's no way for me to get a look at them.
Right. For you, there isn't.
Meaning?
Oh, just that I've always wanted to take some courses out at Sylvia Blake's.
Forget it, Betty.
Barnaby, they don't know me out there.
No, it won't work. Besides, it's too dangerous. If they kill Lockman, they wouldn't hesitate to kill again if they had to.
It's the only way. So I'm the only person who can get those files for you.
No, Betty.
Barnaby.
Absolutely no.
Yes, I know all about Miss Blake's work here. I read her book on a plane to Italy last month.
You've been traveling?
For a while, after my husband's death. I thought if I could keep moving, I would stop thinking. But, well, who was it? I think it was Emerson, who said that he thought he could escape by traveling. The only problem was that he kept running into the same person when he got off the boat. Himself.
That can be good or bad, depending on how we feel about ourselves.
Well, I suppose my self-esteem is not at an all-time high. The same could be said for my nerves.
Oh, would you like some brandy to come?
Oh, no, thank you. One drink and my defenses crumble.
We'll save it for another time, then.
Oh, Miss Blake.
Miss Enright is recently widowed, and she's interested in attending the center.
Well, tell me, Miss Enright.
Oh, please. Betty?
Sylvia. I overheard you telling Robert about your defenses. Is this some personal kind of NATO?
Oh, you might call it that. I'm afraid I've kept my feelings locked in an emotional straitjacket.
Well, that's not very unusual after a loss like yours.
Well, to be perfectly honest, it was happening while my husband was still alive. Poor Freddie thought money was the answer to everything. He had made a fortune by the time he was 30, and another by the time he was 40, and at 45, a heart attack.
And you didn't have anyone to turn to after he died?
We're both orphans. I wonder if that was Fred's problem. I know it's still mine.
Any children?
Never were on the agenda. Sylvia, I'm lost. And I feel the answer is here with you in the center.
Well, it's just that we're very crowded right now.
Why don't we see if something can't be done?
If it's a question of money, I'll pay anything.
Suppose we call you.
All right. My number's on the application form. Please, try to find a place for me. Thank you.
Is that made in heaven? A widow, a fortune, no heirs or relatives, and you let her on just right.
I wasn't leading her on. I just felt sorry for her. Bob, you said that we would get out just in time. Now, I know it. I can just feel it in my bones.
Just as soon as we put the icing on the cake.
What do you mean?
Betty Enright, our last hurrah. And then we're through.
I promise.
Don't! It's for me.
On my private line?
Hello? Yes, this is Betty Enright. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, yes, right away. Thank you so much. Bye.
Betty Enright?
That's the name I'll be under at the center.
Betty, I told you it was out of the question.
If I were a man, you wouldn't be against it.
It's too dangerous.
Barnaby, for the first time, being a woman in your business is an advantage, and I intend to use it.
No, what you mean is you don't intend to listen.
You put it so well.
Well, if you're determined, I guess I better start circulating your cover story in case they start checking your background.
And what a background it is.
I'll bet.
I feel certain you're gonna like it here, Betty.
Oh, it is beautiful.
There's a list of activities here on the table, Betty, and I would suggest that you sign up for all the sessions to start.
Oh, I wouldn't miss a one.
I'll see you later.
Oh, Sylvia, excuse me. What do most of the women wear to the sessions?
Always the #1 question. Whatever is in for you, Betty.
In?
In your mood. Well, we're just trying to get our thing together, not a wardrobe.
I see.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Oh, hi, Sylvia. Ruth at home?
No, she left last night.
Left? Where'd she go?
Oh, well, she promised to drop us a line just as soon as she got settled.
But that's impossible. She didn't even say goodbye.
Well, it was just spontaneous, Helen. She apparently wanted just to break the cord, you know, and go back out in the world again.
Without her sample? I don't believe it.
That's the coat that she was talking about. She asked me to send it on to her just as soon as she sends us her address. Sylvia, you've got a session and I've got a stockbroker. Settle in. See you later.
Thanks for everything.
Hi, I'm Helen Wrightwood. Can I give you a hand?
Betty Enright, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Could you?
Yeah. You know, I don't understand it. Ruth wouldn't just pick up and go like that.
Well, perhaps the center changed her more than you knew. After all, their aim is to build self-confidence.
But based on mature behavior, not running away in the middle of the night.
Oh, listen, let's leave this. Maybe your friend left behind a cool drink for us,
And another thing, she has night blindness. She hates driving at night. Now, what could be so important that she couldn't wait until morning?
I don't know. Oh, well, there could have been, you know, any number of different... Helen, look.
It's a stone from Ruth's ring.
Are you sure?
It's her pride and joy. She calls it her emancipation gift to herself.
Well, there must be some explanation.
Betty, something's wrong. She confided just about everything to me. She was having an affair with Travis. Now, if they had a fight, that would explain her leaving in such a hurry. But it doesn't explain this.
Where are you going?
To find Sylvia and get some answers.
Helen, if something is wrong, remember, Sylvia and Mr. Travis told you that she left. Don't you think that we'd have a better chance of getting to the truth if you kept your suspicions to yourself for now and until we find out more about Ruth's disappearance?
Happy?
I don't know. I know I'm not sad anymore.
I'd like to think that I had something to do with that.
Something. You're the first man I've related to since Fred died.
Are you always this frank?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's good. There are no facades. Sylvia feels
Oh,
that...
I see. No, I'm really interested in what you feel.
I didn't offend you.
You just shook me up a bit, right down to my bootstraps. Robert, please, I'm getting confused.
Is that bad?
No. It's the nicest feeling I've had in a long time. But
Well, what's wrong?
Well, if you'll just give me some time, I'll think of something.
All right. I tell you what. I'll give you until, say, 8 o'clock this evening. You drop by my office. I should be finished by then. And I promise you, I'll not only have an answer to all your confusion, I'll even walk you back to your cabin. Date?
You're 10 minutes late. 5 more minutes and I'd have come in after you.
I'm sorry, Barnaby, but I'm afraid this goes a lot deeper than we thought. One of the women here, a Ruth Granger, has disappeared. Or at least so a friend of hers thinks.
What made a friend suspicious?
Well, Ruth left behind a diamond as big as an egg. I'm sure she wouldn't have left without it. And yet Travis and Sylvia say that she left on her own.
Okay, I can check that out. But I'm taking you out of here. Travis is beginning to check you out like the prize heifer at a county fair.
He tried that in person, too. But Barnaby, I can't leave now. I'm so close. He's invited me to his office this evening.
Betty, if the Granger woman is missing, that makes 2 people who may be dead.
Please, Barnaby, don't make me leave. I know I can get those files. And without them, it's just so much circumstantial
You don't have to explain to me the rules of evidence. What time does Travis expect you?
8 o'clock. Are you going to let me do it?
Yeah, but not alone. I'll drop by at 5 minutes after 8. I'll try to occupy Travis's attention while you go through the files. If he doesn't go for it, you fold your tent and beat it back to your cabin, you hear?
Yes, sir.
No matter what happens, I want you back in your cabin by 8:15. I'm taking you out of here, files or no files, you hear?
Message received and recorded, sir.
And Betty, be careful.
You're beginning to sound like me.
Betty, you look wonderful.
Here I thought investment counselors were only interested in numbers.
Not always. But there will be one happy woman tomorrow when she gets a look at this statement.
I heard the women say that you're a financial wizard.
I don't know about that, but the numbers in these portfolios all seem to be going in the right direction. But I don't want to bore you with talk about money.
Oh, it's not boring. Frankly, I don't know the first thing about finances, except I write a check and get what I want. I'm afraid I keep my finances in a bit of a scramble.
Uh-huh. Well, first thing tomorrow, I'll see if I can't reorganize things for you.
And tonight?
Well, for starters, there's a spot overlooking the lake I'd like you to see.
Mr. Jones, I'm afraid it's a little late.
You'll just take a minute, Miss Blake. I just want to speak with Mr. Travis.
Excuse me.
Mr. Travis isn't available right now.
I'm sorry, Ms. Blake, but it's very urgent that I talk with Mr. Travis right away.
I told you, Mr. Jones, this is my center. Whatever you have to say, you can say to me, or else you can wait until tomorrow and make an appointment.
No, ma'am. There are some things that can only be said man to man.
Betty, I have to speak to someone.
I understand. It's all right.
No, it isn't. Won't take long. I'll come to your cabin.
I'll be waiting.
You see, when one man apologizes to another, I feel he should do it face to face.
Well, if there's any apology owed, I think it's owed to me.
Well, I'm sorry, Ms. Blake, but Mr. Travis, being a man, I'm sure he understands how I feel.
I might understand a little better if you got on with it, Mr. Jones.
Well, I must confess that when I first came out here, I thought you two were lying to me.
Lying? About what?
About Mr. Lockman's failing to keep an appointment with you. Matter of fact, I thought you might have even gone out to his place and maybe even killed him.
How absurd.
When the coroner's report on Mr. Lockman failed to indicate any immediate allergic reaction, you can see why I thought that the accident had been staged.
Well, perhaps so, but why would you think Bob and I would have been involved?
Well, that's rather embarrassing. No good detective ever likes to be caught jumping to conclusions.
What conclusions?
The money that Mr. Lockman's clients turned over to you. Now, I'll admit that I'm always too quick to seize on greed as a motive. You said yourself, check with the ladies, and I'll swear that no man ever got a finer recommendation than you did from Ms. Howard and Ms. Wrightwood.
I'm glad to hear that.
Well, you'll probably also be glad to hear that I've just about wound up my investigation. I won't be troubling you anymore, just as soon as I have an interview with Miss Granger.
What does she have to do with Mr. Lockman?
Well, I won't know that until I talk to her.
Ruth Granger's given up her residence here at the center. I doubt that we can be of much help to you there.
Oh. Well, knowing women, as I do, and their unpredictability, it's likely she could be in Tallahassee or Timbuktu by now. Well, thank you for your time. And once again, my apologies.
Pompous, archaic, chauvinistic, antique.
Don't believe a word of it.
What?
That was no apology you just heard. He was conning us.
But he just said...
I know what he said. The question is why. What's he up to? Come on. Sure. She knew exactly what she was looking for. You work for Jones, don't you?
What are we gonna do?
Exactly what I said. We finish with Ms. Enright here, or whatever her name is, and then we leave.
But, Bob, Jones must know that she's here.
Of course he does. It will do you no good to kill me, you know. Barnaby already knows that you killed George Lockman, and that Ruth Granger didn't leave here of her own free will.
Please, let's just give it up now.
No. If Jones had proof, he'd have gone to the place long ago. We could be long gone from here before he comes back for her. Okay, let's go. And just remember, I won't need much excuse to use this.
Hold it, Travis.
It's all over. It is for her if you make another move.
Miss Blake, tell him to let her go. I've already contacted the police. There's no chance for you to get away.
Travis.
Betty!
I've never been so happy to see anybody in my whole life.
You were supposed to be back in your cabin by 8:15.
I guess I got carried away being a spy.
Harry couldn't have done better.